Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Glen tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Just south of Seneca Lake, amidst the rolling vineyards and woodlands in upstate New York's Finger Lakes region, sits a shrine of American motorsport. Watkins Glen International is more than just a racetrack. It's the birthplace of post-war road racing in North America, a worthy test of some of the best drivers to ever sit in a race car. Today, the Glen hosts the NASCAR Cup and Xfinity Series, as well as a 6-hour crown jewel of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Sports Car Club of America Professional and Amateur Racing, ARCA Menard Series, and a major vintage race meet presented by SVRA. It's also been home to some major concerts and other festivals. Over the years, the Glen has been lengthened once and continually upgraded. A lap around today's Grand Prix circuit still incorporates much of the original layout. The first turn, known as the 90, a sweeping right-hander and a good place to pass, then it's up towards the S's, a series of 3 fast sweeping apexes leading onto the back straightaway. The cars reach their top speed here before hard braking for the bus stop at the end of the straight. Here the track doubles back through the carousel, followed by another long straightaway and into the fast turn 10, a quick left-hander that's much harder than it looks. The last corner, turn 11, it's another fast right-hander that leads out onto the front straightaway. Racing first came to Watkins Glen in 1948 in the form of the Watkins Glen Grand Prix, an SCCA-sanctioned event that ran on a more than 6-mile course over the back roads of town. The success of that event eventually led to the construction of a permanent facility. The resulting product, a little more than a third in length of the original street course. In 1957, the track hosted its first race, a NASCAR Grand National Series event won by Buck Baker over Fireball Roberts. The following year, Formula Libre showed up, and not long after that, Watkins Glen hit the big time. In 1961, Formula One came to the little town by the lake, bringing with it some of the most legendary names in motorsports. For the next 2 decades, the home of the United States Grand Prix was Watkins Glen. The early 80s saw tough times for the Glen. F1 held its last race there in 1980, and it was closed to all but spectator-free SCCA meets for 2 years. The track would soon recover under new ownership. In 1986, NASCAR's Top Series returned to the Glen, and with it, a whole new renaissance for the track began. Tonight, it's the Davidson Builders Truck Series, and it's next on HBR TV. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual Watkins Glen International. Kicking 2024 off the right way with the Davidson Builders Truck Series here at the Glen. 45 laps the race distance, 74-degree ambient temperature, 82% humidity, overcast skies here in upstate New York with a little bit of breeze at 2 miles per hour. Track temp steadily rising. It's about 97 degrees Fahrenheit presently. Practice just about wrapped up here in the session. Zach Millett fastest with a minute 12:31 time. That's moving here in the trucks. Take a look at the point standings coming into tonight. Billet on top. Caleb Sisk, Jesse Redding, Alfie Charon, Derek Welch, your top 5, and so on through the top 27 positions. Of course, Millet winning a couple of weeks ago out at North Wilkesboro before the holiday break. With that said, we're jumping right into qualifying. Looks like Justin Lawson first to roll here. Got Matt Sisler in the stream chat. Hello, Steve and chat. Favorite vehicles, my favorite road course. Should be fun to watch. Thanks for checking in, Matt. Too bad you're not here. Key to this place here at Watkins Glen, it's not just saving the rear tires, but it's being smooth. As you call Watkins Glen kind of a super speedway of road courses. It's a very fast facility. Lawson just off turn 11. Most important part of the lap here, I think, is coming down into turn number 1. Hard on the brakes, downhill braking. The back of the truck gets nice and light. Got to be careful of the wheel hop. That can certainly happen. We'll talk more about that as the race gets going here. But you want to be real slow. Back up your entry into turn number 1 with a good, strong, fast exit out of 1 so you can carry that speed, that momentum up through the S's all the way down the back straightaway. It's just about half your lap. So if you can nail turn 1, you can be almost conservative the rest of the way. Now, if you want to be aggressive, that's an option too. Chance. Let's take a look at the results from the practice session. Billet was fastest, a minute 12:3:10. Connor Leach was a full 6/10 off of that. Caleb Sisk about 8/10 back. Then Alfie Charon, Derek Welch, your top 5. Nice to see, though, those top 4 drivers all within striking distance of the top time. Lap 1 of the books for Lawson, a minute 16:5:04. Connor Leach on the track. Expect a fast lap out of the 71. Connor out of Canada. Jeff Ottinger goes a minute 15.2. Leach is still technically on his out lap. He'll take the green here in just a moment. Paul Durkee goes P1, minute 14:11. Leach looks real fast through 10 and 11, sliding the truck out of the corner. So lap 1 has started for the 71 of Connor Leach. Caleb Sisk now currently fastest, minute 13:32, goes one and done. A 10-minute qualifying session to set the field here. You get 2 laps. Great entry into the bus stop for Leach. Looking real strong, real loose, but loose is fast. Overdrove the carousel. That's going to cost him. He's a little wide there, about truck width too far up out of the groove. Now you can run the exit super wide, as you see he does here. That's not against the rules here in the Cup Series or in the trucks for that matter. A little wide off turn 10. Don't know if he got the off track there. We'll see when he crosses the line if this counts or not. You can run a little wide in 10, but not too far, otherwise your lap will get invalidated. We'll see what he has here across the stripe. Connor Leach goes top of the board real fast. Minute 12.714 for Connor Leach. He's still got his foot in it. He's going to give it another try. Brandon Coleman in the number 19 up through the S's. Coleman out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Coleman runs real wide in the carousel. That's going to cost him time as well. Really, it's another corner very similar to turn 1. Not so much in design, but in its importance. You got a long straightaway immediately following it. Very important to nail that corner, and he goes a little wide in turn 10. Zach Millett heading into turn 10 here, about to take the green flag on his lap. See if he's got anything for Connor Leach. Leach throwing down a minute 12.71, a great lap. Green flag in the air for Zach Millett. Millett running a new paint scheme here this week, being a home track for himself and Eric Beadle. Beadle jumping on board there as a primary sponsor with Beadle's Custom Car Carriers. Carousel, power down. A little bit more wide than he needs to be. We'll see what he does last couple corners if he's got anything for Connor Leach. Skunkworks Graphics guys 1 and 2 for the time being. We'll see if Millett can knock him off those top 2 spots as Alfie Charon throws down a minute 13.9. First lap in the books for Zach Millett, and he goes P1, minute 12.41 seconds for that S4 guy. He's going to keep it out of the track, possibly another lap. Mark Collins, the number 23 out of Castlewood, Virginia. Scary, almost got the Armco in the S's, minute 15.33, his first lap. I thought he was going to let up here, but looks like he's going to stay in the throttle. Good entry into the bus stop. Wrapping up the final lap of the session for Mark Collins as we've got about a minute and a half remaining. Second lap for Collins in the books, and it's an invalid lap, so he's not going to put a time on the board. Minute 15.330 is going to be his time. Derek Welch up through the S's as well, the number 1 NTG Toyota. Derek Welch battling the flu. Oh, big time impact. Hits the Armco barrier in turn 4, the exit of the S's, reminiscent of, well, the early 1970s. I think it was 1973. Francois Cervere making contact in almost the same location. Unfortunately for Cervere, he lost his life in that incident. Different style vehicle entirely. Open wheel race cars, of course, back in the early 70s. Not designed for safety. It didn't make the car go fast. They didn't bother. Surprised those guys ran seat belts. So I don't know if Derek's going to get a lap in here laps given the amount of time left in the session. 10 seconds remain. I don't think he's even going to get to the green flag here. Qualifying finishes up here in Watkins Glen. That's going to do it for all involved. Drivers gridding up here on the main straightaway for one pace lap on this 2.45-mile road course. Now, we call it turns 10 and 11, the final two corners, depending on where you're watching the race from. Whether it's TV or listening on the radio, sometimes they call it slightly different. Some guys do not count the bus stop as corners, effectively the bus stop being a right, a left, and a right. So 4 corners technically. We count them here at HBR TV. I'm a road racing guy, so we're going to go that route. So 11-turn road course, and let's take a look at our starting grid here from Watkins Glen International on the pole position with a lap time of 1 minute 12.416 seconds. It's Zach Millen outside front row with Beer Money Racing's Connor Leach. Missed it by about 0.3. Caleb Sisk going to start in row 2 in the 3rd position in the number 6 machine. Alfie Charon to his outside in 4th. Chris Klein, the number 51, will start 5th. A solid qualifying effort for Chris. Paul Durkee starts in P6. 7th starter is Jesse Sperling in the number 29. Jeff Ottinger with Wicked Loose Racing. He rolls off position number 8. Starting 9th, the number 23 of Mark Collins, Brian Torsha, and the number 81 will start 10th. 11th starter, the number 18 of Justin Lawson, 12th. The number 21 is Jesse Redding. 13th starter is Scott Milner. 14th goes to Ben McKinnon. PJ Cox in the 05 out of Lone Star Racing. He starts 15th. 16th is Tom Barish in the 55. Joe Tucker in the 35 with Hostile Intent Gaming. He'll start 17th. Derek Welch, after an issue in qualifying, will roll 18th. Tony Polk in the 20 starts 19th. Skylar Harrod, another Skunk Works driver, in the number 3 will start 20th. D. Allen Grote, the number 14, 21st. Russ Kilgore in the number 7 will start 22nd. Brandon Coleman, shotgun on the field, starting 23rd. It's your starting grid here from Watkins Glen International Field, lined up, getting ready to get going here, and they do pull away from the grid. Get one pace lap. It's going to take a little bit of time. Again, 2.45 miles. Look at the race info once again. 45 laps. It's half distance of a Cup race. 90 laps typically is what you see the NASCAR Cup Series run here at Watkins Glen. It's roughly 220.5 miles at that distance, so 110, we'll say, is the mileage for this afternoon's race. Again, taking a second look at the point standings coming into tonight. Zach Millen on top. Caleb Sisk is second. Jesse Redding in third. Alfie Charon fourth. Derek Welch fifth. Chris Klein, PJ Cox, Brandon Coleman, Jesse Sperling, Brian Torsha rounding out the top 10. Just want to remind everybody we are on local cautions only tonight. What does local yellow mean? All right, we'll tell you. Local caution only means if somebody wrecks in a particular corner, the yellow will wave in that corner and that corner alone. It will not slow the field, put them behind the pace car every time that happens, just respectively. There's some guys here that just do not run road courses. So with that said, you may see some incidents right off the bat. If there's anything crazy happening, I think if there's a big wreck up through the S's with multiple trucks involved, you might see a full course caution, but that is at the discretion of the race admin. Don't know if that was even covered in the drivers' meeting. It's just a typical thing that is discussed in very similar leagues that run the NASCAR style cars on these road courses. Well, here we go, getting ready, take the green flag. Field working through turns 10 and 11, the final two turns, one more right-hander. Barney with the green in hand, and it waves, and we're underway from the Glen. Like everybody clean through turn number 1. Oh, we got trouble. The 19 of Brandon Coleman's around on entry to the bus stop. Don't know if he got a piece of the Armco or not, but he continues on. Now Zach Millett down the short chute between the carousel and turn 10. Saw for a moment there PJ Cox having an issue out of the carousel. Keeps it going. Lap 1 in the books. Zach Millett leads it, maintaining a 1.1 second advantage back to Connor Leach. Leach tries it deep in entry to turn 1. It's kind of the opposite of what we typically see. You saw that time really come down, the gap between Millett and Leach. But on exit up through the S's, Millett drives away, puts another 2/10 on the 71. Field working back into turns 10, then 11. Leach keeping Zach Millett in sight. 1.3 seconds back to the 71. Caleb Sisk back 1.3 seconds from Connor Leach. Then Alfie Charon running in 4th, about 2 seconds back from the race leader. 3.3 seconds, that is. Top 6 are all in the positions that they started the race in. Check on some other drivers. Tony Polk at 17th. He's up 2 spots. Might lose one here to DL and Grove. Grove with some nose damage on that number 14 Ford. Thought we were going to have a moment there as the 20 turned in. I thought he was not quite clear of Grove. Tony Polk maintaining his position ahead of Grote. Grote seems a little bit faster. Oh, and he dives into the bottom of the carousel and takes the spot. Not a place you typically see the passing happening. Grote makes it work. Looks like Skylar Harad's going to take advantage as well. He's going to go around the outside here in turn number 10. Joe Tucker in behind the two of them. Now a side-by-side battle. Joe Tucker with a good run out of turn 11. Who can break the latest into turn 1? Looks like Harad did, but it cost him as he got to wheel hopping. You saw the truck kind of wiggling there on brake down into turn number 1. So we talked about it in the open about wheel hop. Well, what is wheel hop? We're going to tell you if you don't already know. It's essentially you're in a braking zone, mostly on road courses. You could run into this, of course, on some short tracks, I could assume, but it's exactly what it sounds like. The rear tires on the truck, they start to bounce. The suspension gets going, and the rear of the truck starts to hop effectively on the racetrack. It makes it very likely that you're going to spin the truck out. It's very difficult to control. Even the best of the best have it happen to them on occasion. And the only way to stop it is to do one of two things. Get off the brakes or get on the throttle. Now, keeping in mind, this is usually happening in a part of the racetrack that you're trying to slow down. So it is very difficult to train your mind as Harad shakes the truck again there, wheel hop into turn 10. That's another likely place to have it happen, but it's usually high speed to heavy braking You may have too much rear brake bias dialed into the truck. That can cause it. Let's see what happens again. Yep, there it is. And around he goes. Seen that happen 1,000 times here at Watkins Glen. A little too aggressive either on the brakes or the downshift. That can cause it too. If you grab the gear a little too soon, you spike the RPMs, you effectively lock up the rear tires just slightly, and then you're along for a ride. DL and Grote moving towards the front. He's up 7 positions. Just taking a spot from Ben McKinnon. 6 laps in, Zach Millet still out in front. Connor Leach, Caleb Sisk, your top 3. Alfie Cher and Chris Klein, the top 5. Klein up 1 position. Got a couple of chatters in the stream chat. Chris Goen says it should be a good one to watch tonight. Let's hope. Sometimes they're not. Not to knock on anybody. It's just a road course. Sometimes it happens. We got Lisa cheering on the Sperling brothers. Crystal Milano, let's go HBR boys. And then Chris Goens, downshift too early, words out of my mouth. It's fortunate Chris Goens couldn't be here tonight. Skylar Harrod having another issue on the track, and it looks like turn 1 all over again. This is not a replay, folks. This is just the next lap. Let's take a look at it. We saw the first one happening. Here is the most recent. Same thing. Too much rear brake and then an overcorrection. This time he might get a piece of that tire pack. No, he doesn't. So that's the first, I'm sorry, this is the most recent spin by the 3. And then let's watch the previous lap. Very similar situation here. Now the problem is he's heating up those rear tires with added rear brake bias. If he dials it more to the front again, may be helpful. Joe Tucker and D. Allen Grote and Jesse Redding all battling for position here. Redding to the inside up through turn 2 in the S's. Top 6 position still unchanged. We got Darth Gutierrez says, "Hail, Truck Series." Chris Goen says, "Tires heat up too, extra slick." I know there's a bit of a delay here, Goens, but it's like you're reading my mind, man. Or I'm reading yours. I'm not sure which way the delay goes. Either way, points made. Redding maintaining his position now in front of D. Allen Grote. Little wheel hop out of the 21 as well. He's able to save it. Now, the thing is, you see here in turn 1 at Watkins Glen, back in the day, that was not pavement. That was all grass, and then they switched over to the kitty litter, the gravel, the pea gravel that they would throw down there. And then they got rid of that entirely and said, you know what, we're just going to pave it. And what that has effectively done, whether you like it or not, it does and has helped in the way of making these cautions not as prevalent. What used to happen if you wheel hop down into turn 1 and you spit it out like we saw Skylar Harrod do a few laps ago, you'd end up in that kitty litter and you'd just get beached. You'd high side the race truck or the car and you wouldn't be able to get out without assistance. Created a lot of unnecessary caution. So the track, and NASCAR for that matter, went in and they paved a lot of these runoff areas. Same for this corner here in turn 10. They kind of went half and half. It's half paved and half gravel. You can see it off in the distance. That's a really tough corner to lose the brakes in. There's not quite as much runoff as you used to have down in turn number 1, but turn 1's all paved, so now if you do wheel hop it, you don't need to really try and save it too much. Just get off the brakes slightly so it stops happening, and then you can drive it through the runoff, which is all pavement these days. Yeah, you'll get the off track, but you won't end up in the fence, and you won't be facing the wrong direction more than likely. So that's an added advantage. You can kind of force yourself to be aggressive because the penalty just is not as severe as it once was. Scott Milner in the pits here. I don't know if this is a planned early stop. Milner with some new colors on that Chevrolet this week. One other driver made a pit stop previous to this. It was Russ Kilgore. I think Mark Collins may have stopped as well. I don't know if this is just a fuel stop, some damage repair. They do have one fast repair here tonight, so keep that in mind. But there's also a halfway break coming up. Now, half of 45, well, it's not really going to be an accurate lap. So we may see it about lap 22, maybe 23. Not sure when they plan on throwing that, but that's more of a competition caution. Again, we've got some guys here that are very quick on road courses. Some guys that can kind of get by, and some guys that are, well, they're just here so they don't get fined. I'm kidding, they don't get fined. But you get the point. Oh, Jesse Reddick wheel hop again down into turn number 1. Still manages to hang on. I did find over the course of a long run, you did have to play with the brake bias to keep things consistent. Tony Polk awful slow on the front stretch, though. Russ Kilgore got right up into the tailgate of that Ford. Grote still running in 14th. Trying to hold off the 18 of Justin Lawson. Been a little bit since we checked on Zach Millett. Still out in front. 11 laps in. Almost a 7-second lead over the 71 of Connor Leach. Millett just getting into the bus stop. Leach just getting to the back straightaway. So that is quite the deficit to this point. Again, it's not over. Don't turn this thing off just because, oh, Millett's got it locked up. He certainly does not. You got to run all these laps. You don't ever take those hats to victory lane before the checkered flag waves. Again, we do have a halfway break too, which is going to get everybody caught back up. We got to get clean pit stops. Skylar Harrod might have recently just had another issue. Seems okay at the moment. Let's see if we can find it here for you. And let me guess, it's going to be turn 1 all over again. Yep, there it is. Just breaks loose. So lap 5, lap 6, and now lap 9. Wheel hops it, spins it out. Again, it's so easy to do. Now, I gotta wonder if Skylar's got a button mapped for his brake bias, because if he starts pushing that towards the nose of the truck instead of the rear, that will help significantly. May not be quite as fast, but he's still wheel hopping. You see he had to correct there again. Almost opposite lock, trying to keep her straight. Jeff Ottinger running a 9th, down 1 position. Might lose another one here to Jesse Sperling. Sperling to the inside, up through the S's. Ottinger gives him the position. Up through turn 3, then the right-hander turn 4 to the back straightaway. "13 laps in here. We're going to take an HBR TV side-by-side break. Stay with us, folks. We'll be back after this.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at the Glen, 16 laps go up on the board. Zach Millet's led them all to this point, an 18.2 second advantage over second place Connor Leach. While we were in the break, you saw some drivers opting to hit pit lane a touch early, Caleb Sisk being one of them. Looks like Connor Leach might be doing the same. No, we got a battle for the second spot. Alfie Chair into the inside of the 71, down into turn number 1. We'll continue to watch this battle up through the S's. Alfie gets clear, Connor tucks back in behind. It's one thing that you will see here on a road course with a planned caution. Some drivers opting to work some strategy here tonight. Caleb Sisk, one of those drivers. Chris Klein, Paul Durkee, Jeff Ottinger, Mark Collins, and others opting to hit pit lane here before our break. They may need to come down and pit during the break to top off for fuel, but they won't have the added time expense in changing tires, because it looks like they may have taken tires on that stop. I know Caleb's stop was a 1472. Not the best of years, but certainly plenty of time to change 4 tires and get some fuel in it. Oh, Leach goes wide on 11 and gets in the fence. Connor Leach in the third spot, pushed a little too hard in the final corner. The end of lap 16 puts it in the safer barrier on the exit of turn 11. visually the truck looks like it might be okay. Hard to tell if the suspension sustained any damage there. He's not up to full song though, so he might be trying to battle some ill-handling race truck. I would expect to see him come down pit lane maybe this time. Don't want to be running this far off the pace for another 5 laps or so. Might have forced his hand here as far as strategy is concerned. Again, teammate Caleb Sisk pitting just a couple of laps ago. Yeah, Leach way off the pace. See if Connor makes the right turn into pit lane. Now he stays out. Gonna try and struggle through it. He's got the track position, and again, knowing the caution's coming, maybe he'll just sacrifice the first half of this race, regroup, change some tires, and get back after it. It's not a bad decision either way. Got to give a call here to Derek Welch. Even prior to the pit stops, we saw him making his way back through the field. Remember, didn't have a good qualifying effort. Got into the Armco very hard up through the S's. Wasn't able to get a lap in. Started about 18th here. He was running in the 4th position now. Again, some pit stops are causing this to be cycling through, but he had made up 11 spots prior to that happening. So Derek Welch, not a huge fan of road racing, but certainly has put the work in. Watched Derek improve over the last year or so, his road racing skills. See how wide the drivers take that final sweeping carousel corner. Now through turn 10. A quick change in direction back to the right. Turn 11, the final corner. It's a tricky corner. It looks pretty straightforward, but it's not. You know, maybe it's not just for me. I love this place. I usually run pretty well here, but over the years, I've still not been able to perform very well in that final corner. Ryan Torsha in trouble. Still trying to gather it up. Oh, he's in traffic. Almost gets clipped. Justin Lawson going by. So Torch is just going to try and drive to the pit lane here. See what happened first. This is through turn 10. Looks okay there. Just snapped loose on him. I don't know if he lost a left rear tire. Gets the fence just a bit and then puts the power down too hard again. Spins it around. This is where he almost gets nailed. Jesse Redding getting by. I'll watch it again here from the blimp. Decent turn 10. To me, that looks like he grabbed a gear that he wasn't planning on grabbing. I've done it too. Just locks up the rear tires and around you go, and then here it just insult to injury. Speaking of the Sperlings, Lisa says, go Vickers. What am I missing? Oh, I get it. That's right. I remember. Vickers on the hood of the Chevy Silverado, the number 29 at Jesse Sperling. So we are approaching our halfway break, and some more drivers opting for pit lane, including race leader Zach Millett. Jesse Redding as well. Jesse's in 8th, but just ahead of the race leader right now. I don't imagine the prescription here is going to be 4 tires and Sunoco Racing fuel for Zach Millett. And Zach sporting the new colors this week with Beatles custom car carriers on the hood. Nice pit board as well. Millett down and away, 25 laps to go. Good pit stop, 14.47 seconds for Zach Millett. Does get out in front of Connor Leach that manages to take that second position back. Alfie Charon now in pit lane. Now through that cycle though, Millett had a pretty sizable advantage over second place. Now it's about half of that, 5.4 seconds. It's still nothing to shake a stick at. Ironically, though, Connor Leach has yet to pit. Connor's going to wait, I think, until the halfway break to take his tires and fuel. Last lap for Leach was a minute 18.7. Significantly off the pace from what he was running with fresh tires early on in the race. His best lap of the day is a minute 13.1. And the caution comes out.
You want something to drink? Yes, he'll take a Captain Morgan and Diet Coke.
So Zach Millett leads it to the break. Just finished up his pit stop a lap ago. Now, I'm not 100% sure what the fuel window is here. He may be good to go. We'll find out. We'll see if Zach comes down the pit road here for at least fuel when the pit lane opens up. Or if he stays out on the racetrack, he might be good to go. Remember, his pit stop coming at lap 20. Russ Kilgore in trouble in turn number 1 after taking the caution, and looks like he is done for the day. See what happened here to the 7 while we have a moment. Oh, I don't know if he forgot to hit the brakes, missed the pedal, but either way, he drives it straight into the tire pack. His day is done. Millett's going to have to go one more lap. He's got to catch the caution car. With that, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back after this. Watkins Glen. Zach Millett is going to come down pit lane here, likely just to top off. Connor Leach, Caleb Sisk, Alfie Charon, Chris Klein, Paul Durkee, Jesse Sperling, PJ Cox, all on pit road. So is Jeff Ottinger, Joe Tucker, Justin Lawson, See, Connor Leach, I don't know if he's trying to make up extra ground or if Millett got on the brakes a little too hard, but it forced the 71 to lock him up on entry to avoid contact with the 315. And it's going to be fuel only for Millett. Now, meanwhile, we were talking about Derek Welch having a strong run. He is now listed back in the 20th position. He is still sitting on pit lane and has been there for quite some time. It looked like he may have run out of fuel after the caution flag had waved. Came to a stop in the S's and has not rejoined the race since. Again, as we mentioned, Derek Welch battling the flu, so that may have caused his early exit here tonight. Tough break for the one machine as he was having a strong run. Mark Collins just leaving the pits. Jesse Redding going to make another stop. Just topping off for fuel. Jesse Redding going to rejoin the field here. Pace truck has picked up the field here through turn 10. Lights are still on, so we got at least one more lap before we go back to green. Be 21 laps to go, so it should be 20 laps to go when we go back racing. Try and jump in here and get a word with Zach Millett, if we can. Zach and Steve with HBR TV. You got a copy?
Hey, Steve. What's up, buddy?
Just checking on you here. You've dominated the first half of this race, getting ready to go back green flag racing. I think the next time by, it'll be 20 laps to go. You made your pit stop for tires and fuel just prior to that stage break, I guess you could call it, the midway break. Topped off for fuel during the caution. Are you good to go to the end?
Man, I'm telling you, it's going to be really, really close. I'm doing everything I can to save every little bit of fuel right now. We didn't plan on this. We didn't plan on the caution laps, you know, so we're going to see if we can make it. We're going to try like hell. We got to keep pace to stay ahead of these guys too at the same time, so it's going to be a challenge, man.
Pace is going to be something to be concerned with Connor Leach. Alfie Charon going to be right to the back door. We see Caleb Sisk. He's going to restart about 13th after he made an extra pit stop here before we've gone back to green. So good luck the rest of the way, man, and hopefully you don't run out of fuel.
Yeah, let's hope, man. Thanks, buddy.
Good luck. That was Zach Millett, your race leader in the 315. He's led every lap to this point. But again, it's going to be tough trying to save fuel. Like we said, we think that Derek Welch may have run out of fuel after that caution, wasn't able to make it back around. So Zach Millett's going to have to mind his P's and Q's and not be too hard on that throttle if he can help it. So Millett's going to restart the race as the leader. Connor Leach to the outside. Then in row 2, it'll be Alfie Charon and Paul Durkee. Jesse Sperling up into the top 5 with Chris Klein. Jeff Ottinger, Joe Tucker, Mark Collins, PJ Cox, your top 10 as we get ready to go back to the green flag.
Be ready, green flag.
Good reaction time out of Connor Leach. Maintains right next to the 315 as they barrel down into turn number 1. Who'll be late to the brakes? They're pretty even on entry, but Millett has the preferred lane. Not going to have as much of a run out of the corner, but he's got the inside lane into the S's in turn 2. Can they go side by side? It'll be The advantage for Connor Leach up into turn 3, but he lets off. Tucks back in behind. Millet back to the point, clear by a truck leg. Field pouring down the back straightaway into the bus stop. Hard right, then left, left, and then right. Looks like everybody threw it cleanly. Oh, Leach real wide off the carousel. Almost spins the truck, saves it. Granted, we've seen him almost every corner of this race, but that truck just hung out. And we talked about that early on in the race. You got to take care of those rear tires. The unfortunate part about the aggressiveness out of Connor Leach is he is very fast everywhere we go, but you got to be fast, but you got to be conservative at the same time. Got to take care of the rear tires on that truck. You saw him fade at the end of that initial run. Alfie Charon was able to reel him in and take the spot. And then about a lap later, Leach got into the barrier in turn 11. Truck looks okay. He seems okay. He's going to have to hustle here. Alfie Charon running back in P3. Paul Durkee, we watched him earlier in the week in a private test. Was quick. Jesse Sperling running in the 5th position. Oh, real loose! The 29 goes around on entry into the carousel. He's in a bad spot. Gotta let traffic go on by here. We still got trucks coming. Broadcaster's curse rearing its ugly head for the 29 of Jesse Sperling. Gets her spun around, facing the right direction. He continues on, but tough break for the 29 truck as he was running inside the top 10. Take another look at it here. Into the bus stop. Got the grass. Too hard to the left. Gets the right sides in the grass, and then it's on from there. Good job by Joe Tucker to avoid. Chris Klein going wide as well. Great job by all involved here to avoid a major incident here. It's pretty blind there. No one really knows that he's parked there. Tough break. Sperling went from 5th to 14th. Got 18 laps to go. Millet with just about a second advantage. Sperling trying to regroup. Tony Polk with some pretty significant damage on his machine. Very reduced pace. There's some significant damage there. Something definitely happened. Let's see if I can find this here. Tony Polk, the 20 machine. This was turn 10. Just about a lap ago. Oh, he just comes up in front of DL and Grote. Luckily, Grote might have got by here without incident. And I gotta be honest, when you're off the pace due to damage or one reason or another, it's almost harder to drive because you're trying to stay out of people's way. Just trying to see what happened here in the 20, caused the damage that he had. Oh, there he goes. There it is. Got crossed up in the S's, turn 4. Gets into the Armco, very similar to what we saw Derek Welch do in qualifying. Polk ends up in pit lane here. Either done for the day or trying to get it repaired. I think he's already used one fast repair. And there you have it. It's going to be likely race over for the 20. Leaders flash by. 16 to go. Millet slowly but surely stretching out his advantage. That said, his last lap, I know he talked about being conservative and trying to save his fuel the best that he can, but his last lap was 1:12.61 seconds. His fastest lap of the day was 1:12.48. So he's moving. That wasn't being conservative at all. Now, track temperature may have changed a bit. Let's take a look at that. In fact, it is down considerably. 84-degree track temp. We were up in the mid-90s early on. Still running in the second spot. Alfie Charon a ways back, just now getting into turn 10. Now Alfie might be trying to play the conservative route here. Take care of the truck, take care of fuel, maybe go a little easy on the tire for a little bit, because remember, he did the same thing in that first segment, I guess we can call that, because we did have that halfway break. And by the end of that break, he caught and passed Connor Leach. We'll see if that strategy pays off again with 15 laps to go. We're just going to have to wait and find out. Torsha, number 81, running still back in the 15th spot. Started 10th here today. Jeff Ottinger in the 11th. To touch on Brian Torsha again, had a solid qualifying run, 10th position. It's one thing to be quick for a lap or two on these road courses, not just Watkins Glen, anywhere for that matter. That is something that can be taught. Definitely. Is Jesse Redding, I think, in trouble? Where did he go? There he is. Trying to get back into the bus stop here, having some troubles. We'll talk about Torcha here in just a minute. I want to see what happened with Jesse Redding in the bus stop that caused his incident. Oh, a little too much turn in. I think it could have been a rear brake situation because the truck turned harder to the right than he anticipated. Does get a piece of the barrier. So back to Torch. Again, a solid qualifying effort. Repeatability is the name of the game, though, when it comes to road racing. You've got to be able to put up consistent laps after lap after lap after lap after lap all the way through. You're constantly monitoring the handling conditions, track temperature, brake bias, all that stuff plays a factor in being consistent. Every single lap usually will feel different from the next, but if you get the time in, you practice, you hone the craft, even though every lap may feel different, the lap time should be pretty consistent each time. As Ottinger in trouble into the carousel, Torch has to go around on the outside. Everybody keeps it going straight. Ottinger still running in the 11th position. Chris Klein back in 7th, just ahead of PJ Cox. Hard braking down into turn 1, the Beaver Direct Toyota, the number 51 there. Fresh new paint scheme, last handful of races for Chris Klein. It's been good luck for him. He's got a couple of wins. Some podium finishes for the 51. Paul Durkee is strong, top 5 so far in the 4th spot. Joe Tucker. Speaking of Joe Tucker and guys having a strong run this afternoon, Joe started back in 17th here this afternoon, quietly making his way through the field. The truck is very clean. I don't see any damage on that thing. He's doing a good job here with a little less than 13 laps remaining. Joe, no stranger to road racing. He first started talking to Joe Tucker. He's running GTE cars, running some endurance racing. Spent some time over in PFR SimSport in the Lone Star Racing road course or GT3 series, sports car series. Not afraid to drive anything. He's working on the back bumper of the 13 truck. Time to get aggressive. Tough place to get it done, but he gets it done. Move Joe Tucker into the 4th spot. Paul Durkee back to 5th. Imagine Joe may start to stretch this advantage out over the 13. Durkee may battle back. Interestingly, well, Tucker may have made an extra pit stop. Tucker's last pit stop, lap 23, it was only 8.4 seconds, so that's going to be fuel only. It was his second stop of the race, however, so he may have stopped to get his tires prior to the break. Checking on Caleb Sisk once again. Remember, he restarted the race about 13th. Quietly working his way back into the top 5 as he is running 6th in that number 6 skunkworksgraphics.com Toyota. Started 3rd here today. Certainly no slouch. I couldn't keep up with him in our practice this week. Granted, I haven't turned a wheel in a while, but nonetheless, Caleb can get around a road course, that's for sure. Super smooth through the bus stop. Pinpoint line. Let's go on board and ride with Zach Millett. Take a lap around Watkins Glen with the 315. Jesse Redding having trouble in front of the leader. Millett careful to get through. Now you hear him coasting through the carousel. Definitely concerned about fuel now. Short shifting. Lap around Watkins Glen with Zach Millett. Let's go back and see the incident from outside the cockpit. Jesse Redding in the bus stop having a trouble on the exit. Let's see it again here. Again, I think he just locked up the rears. Little wheel hop on entry. Did a good job trying to hang on to it. Did a good job locking her down and keeping it off the racing groove. Continues on. Nine laps to go for Zach Millett, maintaining a 2.8 second advantage over Connor Leach. And you hear him again, lifting out of the throttle, coasting through the carousel. It's not a bad spot to do it if you're going to do it in a corner. A lot of guys will do the lift and coast. Obviously, he's doing that in the corner, but another method is to let off way early before you get into your typical braking zone. Let the truck roll and just coast with your foot on the clutch. So you're slowly shedding speed, but you're doing it off throttle, which means you can carry the truck deeper into the braking zone. You can brake later. Guys that are really good at it, they can do that lift and coast, brake a lot later than they had been all day, not lose any lap time while they do it. So you can save fuel and still be fast. A little harder to do that on an oval, though not impossible. A place like Watkins Glen or the road courses in general, you've got just more opportunities to do that. So lifting into the bus stop, let's listen. He's only grabbing one gear. And lift. Now he's still running about 3.5 tenths a lap faster than Connor Leach while he continues to save. Now we'll go on board with Connor and see what he's doing. Short shifting as well. All right, so what I heard and saw there, getting down into turn number 1, Connor is out of the throttle and on the brakes much earlier than you would expect, though he's not on the clutch and letting the truck idle. He's still saving fuel, but it's not as aggressive as you see Zach Millett. Granted, Millett's really only doing it in the carousel as he comes up on Scott Milner here. But you also heard on the exit of turn 1, Leach buzzed the rear tires, spiked that RPM up for what was realistically maybe a second or two, but that's an eternity. You've got a big horsepower engine just guzzling race fuel. So whatever he saved on entry, he lost it all on exit. Milner goes wide, lets the second place truck go on by without any kind of a fight. Milner running back in 17th. One truck around the 19. Brandon Coleman in trouble. Don't know if he made contact with anything. He's trying to get going again. 6 laps to go. So we get a replay of it. We got it here. Let's back it up further because this problem started, I think, in turn 10, or at least the exit of 10. Dirt tracking it on exit. Trying to straighten it out. Dirt tracking it on entry. Dirt tracking it in the middle, and that's the truck saying, I've had enough of that. Or at least the rear tires, not happy. Now, the bigger problem for Coleman is it's going to take a lap or two for those rear tires to settle down and cool off enough that it's drivable again. See how he gets into the bus stop here. Sperling closing back in. Yeah, you see, he's off pace. He can't keep the truck straight. Rear tires are melting. It's like being on ice. Or he's just doing it on purpose. I don't know. Sometimes guys just say, you know what? I can't do this. I'm just going to drift everywhere since no caution coming out. And here's Coleman backwards the wrong direction, and he goes straight to pit lane. He's had enough. Race leaders once again, Millett and Connor Leach. Leach 2.6 seconds back. 5 laps to go. So we've got 4 trucks, 6 trucks. Well, we'll go in the middle. 5 trucks out of the race because it looks like Tom Barish joined the session but didn't turn a lap. 15 of McKinnon, Brandon Coleman, Tony Polk, Derek Welch. Looks like they are all out of this one now. Scott Milner in 16th. He's 2 laps down. D. Allen Grote, 15th, 1 lap down. McKinnon now 2 as Millett goes on by. First truck 1 lap down. It's a 29 of Jesse Sperling. Again, that not indicative of his performance here. He had a strong run going. He was up into the top 5 until his incident there at the exit of the bus stop. Lucky enough not to hit anything, but he had to wait for the whole field to go by him before he could turn that truck around facing the right direction and get back in the fight. This next driver to pass for Sperling is Jeff Ottinger, at least for position, and he's about 31 seconds ahead of the 29 truck, so nothing really significant happens here. It looks like Sperling's going to finish in about the 12th spot. Milner just ahead here. He's not on the same lap. trying to go around the outside there in turn 4. It's a risky place to do it. It gets a little slick in that high groove. It's a shame. Sperling looks real solid through here. Just a one simple mistake, and that's all it took. Meanwhile, Chris Klein in the pits. He's going to put some tires on here late. This might be a position here for Jesse Sperling. Klein might be on the lead lap, though. He is, so that's not going to help him much. Or is it? No, Klein's not on the lead lap, so Sperling could catch him. To see where he cycles back out. Nah, Sperling is too far back. 35 seconds the advantage. Jeff Ottinger, though, finds himself into the top 10 after Chris Klein making that pit stop. Still maintaining a distance of about 2.8 seconds back to Connor Leach. There'll be 2 laps to go when he gets back to start-finish. Now the question remains, because we do not have any cautions to be concerned with. Does Zach Millett have enough to make it to the end here? He was concerned about it when we talked to him prior to the restart. Klein running in 11th, just recently took tires, so he may be a bit faster than the race leaders here. Here, Millett again, just coasting through the carousel. Really is an interesting part of the racetrack to try and save fuel, but I see it. It makes sense. It is slightly downhill there until you get out of the corner and head down the long straight, so it does have the advantage of at least letting you carry some of that speed and not let the drag of the race truck slow you down. Millett off turn 11 here, a white flag in the air. Final lap from Watkins Glen. And Zach Millett put an exclamation point on this dominant race so far. Does he have enough to make it back around 2.45 miles at Watkins Glen International? Does not need to push too hard. He's enjoying 3 seconds of an advantage over the 71 of Leach. Ottinger giving way to the leader. Zach Millett down the back straightaway one final time in the Beatles Custom Car Carriers 315. Millett was fastest in the practice session, fastest in qualifying, fastest in the race so far here tonight. He's led every lap to this point, looking to cap it off with a checkered flag. One more left and one more right. Checkered flag in the air. Final straightaway for Zach Millett. He's going to cross the stripe and take the win here at Watkins Glen. Second place, Connor Leach. And Caleb Sisk might have got Alfie Chair in the last lap. Let's see what happened here with Alfie. Something may have gone down here. Yes, there was a battle between the 9 and the 6. We've said that a few times this season. Oh, Caleb just got loose. Turned right into the left rear of the 9. This was on the final lap after they took the white. Millet still coasting, trying to save fuel here. He wants to do some burnouts, I think. Got to give credit to Caleb Sisk battling back. Granted, there was some contact with Alfie Charon, but I don't know. He might have had him, he might not. Who knows? But either way, even if Alfie or if Caleb finished 4th, it would have been a strong finish given that he restarted 13th. Very happy Zach Millet here on the front stretch at Watkins Glen. Millet driving into the old pit section, just about. Parks it on the I Love New York sign. We all know that's a lie. With that, we're going to step aside, get a break out of the way. We'll be back with our top 3 finishers after this.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Watkins Glen International, 45 laps down in the books. Checkered flag has waved. And Zach Millett with a dominant performance here at the Glen. Let's talk to our race winner, driver of the 315 Beatles Custom Car Carriers, number 315 Chevrolet. It's Zach Millett in the booth. It's Steve. You got me?
Hey, Steve, got a copy.
And let's turn you down a bit here before we blow on our eardrums. All right. Congratulations, man. A woodshed whooping put on the field here by you, whether it was practice, qualifying, or the race. You kind of won it all here tonight, led every single lap, I believe. I know you were worried about fuel there at the break. You still managed to have a hot lap at the end and enough fuel for the burnout. Walk us through your fuel-saving strategy. We saw you were doing a lot of that through the carousel. Kind of different, but seemed to work out for you.
Yeah, it seemed like the carousel was the best spot to do it. You didn't really lose anything on entry. You just kind of going a little harder without as much brake as normal. But I didn't think this race was going to be a fuel mileage race, Steve, at all. I kind of thought we'd be, pitting halfway and just be done with it. Just full bore, full pace the entire time, and this was a complete surprise. So from the caution lap, the final lap, shutting the truck off every second, to the last, I'd say, 10 laps, we were full save, absolutely. Every drop we could get.
Well, we saw prior to that halfway break, you did make your pit stop under green for tires and fuel. And then prior to going back to the green flag, we did see you come down for a quick splash and go. Was that kind of an audible decision, or was that kind of the game plan just to ensure you were 100% not going to run out? Or did you not even know at that point?
That was like a turn 10 decision. It was very much last second. Me and the HBR guys were kind of talking it over, and again, we didn't expect this at all, so it was kind of a left field thing. And when that caution came out to when we were going to go back green, it was going to be awfully close. So apparently all us HBR guys are pretty horrible at math, but it kind of worked out. So instead of driving and test driving next week, maybe we should start running some numbers in our heads and get better at that.
Well, with that said, a couple of races left in the season. We've got Daytona and Las Vegas. I know we go from one of your favorite places to one of your least favorite places. How do you feel about next week's race out at Daytona?
Oh man, it's going to be something. I don't know. It's always, one or the other. Stay in the back, stay safe, or try to stay up front and stay away from the wrecks. So I don't know. Either way, there's going to be a bunch of wrecks. It's going to be quite a show. So definitely tune in next week.
Certainly looking forward to it, Zach. Again, congratulations. A dominant performance here at Watkins Glen. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
I got to thank you, Steve, HBR TV, for the broadcast. Subscribe and hit that like button. HBRTV1.com, HBRShops.com. Hit up Brian Rose for any advertising. I got to thank the NTG, NTRL, DW, Mark, Chris, all the admins for everything they do. They put a lot of time in this for us. Castle, Pax, Power, Eric Dotson, State Farm. I got to thank all my teammates over at HBR. It's a great bunch of guys to race with every week. Look forward to it. Big thanks to Beatles Custom Car Carriers on Facebook. He sponsored this race. He ended up having to work last second. It sucks that he couldn't make it. He was looking forward to it. But if you're into die-cast tractor trailers, car carriers, check him out on Facebook. It's Beatles Custom Car Carriers. And big thanks to everybody out there watching. And shoot me a follow over on Twitch and YouTube at That Is For You.
Zach Millett, congratulations once again. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck next week at Daytona.
Thanks, buddy.
Zach Millett, your race winner. Next, we're going to talk to the runner-up, the 71 of Connor Leach. Connor had plenty of pace here tonight, just not quite enough to get that top spot. Runner-up finish for the 71. Connor, it's Steve in the booth. You got me?
Yep, we got you.
Connor, congratulations, man. You certainly look stout out there. Ironically, the top four drivers in the race, that's right where they qualified, so I guess it makes sense. A strong run, nevertheless. You looked real sharp, real fast out there. What was the deciding factor here tonight? Was it strategy? Was it saving the rear tires? Was it just raw pace? What did you need to reel in Zach Millett?
It was all fuel saving. I didn't have the raw pace for him, so on that first run, I tried to just go to the end. The first lap, I was trying to keep with him, and then I said, all right, we're just gonna try to save tires. Kind of had a gap behind a little bit, and then, or not save tires, save fuel. Just saved a bit. Kind of thought I was saving enough, and then when there was like 10 laps into the race, it was looking like, ooh, I'm gonna have to save a lot of fuel. Caleb, he decided to go in on that first run pretty early, get that fuel stop out of the way so we could run hard. But then I just stayed out there. By the end of that run, I was fourth gear the entire way around the track, shutting it off, coasting through pretty much every braking zone and every corner. Barely made it. The caution came out a little later than we thought it would, but worked out in the end. We were able to make it around, get in the pit lane, but I was running on fumes coming into pit lane there. We topped it off, put some tires on it, and went back out there, and I knew the second run was going to be a little bit shorter because by the time we went green, I think we only had 20 laps to go.
Yep.
And then I was running pretty hard. Like I was running about as hard as I could, just kind of short shifting a little bit through the whole run. And I just had set up the fuel calculator through iRacing there at like half, just add half a lap, and every time I saw it say it was going to add fuel, then I would chill out a little bit and slow it down, and once it went back to 0, then full bore again, and just kind of kept balancing on the edge of about half a lap extra fuel. And then by the end, Zach, I think he saved more than me, but I'm not very good at saving fuel. I have not done much practice with that, but it worked out in the end. We got second, but I do want to congratulate teammate in the 6th there. I mean, he got a speeding penalty, just an unforced error, and then drove from P last basically to 3rd. I know he had a bit of a run-in, but you'll be able to talk to him about that. But it was a good run for our team. I'm looking forward to the end of the season. Daytona, anything can happen. You never know. We might find our way into the podium, but I'm looking forward to finishing up this season. I know I started in this league late, but it's been super fun, and you do a good job with the broadcast. And we'll just thank Skunkworks Graphics, Alan there. He's got a couple graphics for me, big old Canadian flag on the hood, and we're loving these paint schemes. When you feel fast, you go fast.
There you go. Want to go back a little bit here prior to the halfway break. We did watch Alfie Charon reel you in and eventually make the pass, and it was about a half lap later we saw you make contact with the turn 11 barrier. First off,
you saw that?
We saw it live.
Damn it.
First, what happened there? And then I have another question, is because Caleb had just made a pit stop a couple of laps prior to that, trying to short pit, I guess, the stage. What prompted you to not pit after that contact? Because the truck certainly seemed way off the pace at that point. Was there damage to the suspension, at least that you could feel?
No, there was no damage. It was a pretty good bump, but that was me sticking it in 4th gear, and when you're in a higher gear than normal going through that last corner, it really doesn't want to turn.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of coasting through the corner, and you get kind of halfway through, and it's like, oh boy, I'm going a little too deep here, and at that point, kind of, you've already made your bed with the wall there, so we got the wall, but then after that, it was like I was saving so hard. Like it was, I don't think I got over half throttle the whole last couple of laps there coming to the caution.
Well, that sums that up. Now, moving on into next week, we do have 2 races left, Daytona, and then we finish the season, the championship race at Las Vegas.
Yep.
Daytona kind of being a crapshoot, obviously, for anybody, but there's always some guys that perform just a tick better on the super speedways than they do at other places. How do you feel about your chance next week?
I'm pretty good at taking a push. I can push okay, but I really like being the 3rd truck in a line. I feel like I can kind of let the 2 trucks ahead of me really do their thing and push as hard as they can, and then just being that 3rd truck right there, just sticking as close to the tail of the 2nd guy without bumping him and getting him out of shape and screwing up the leader. But I think I do okay on super speedways. I like them. They're fun. But it's definitely a roll of the dice there.
Well, we certainly look forward to it, Connor. Again, a nice run here at the road course at Watkins Glen. I know you shouted out a couple of people. Anybody else you want to thank before we let you get out of here?
Derek, he puts on a good league here. He's having a little bit of issue with some buttons. I think probably maybe an update or something happened. And so the way she goes, I know he didn't have his best race. I know he seems to do pretty good on road courses, but feel bad for him. We were kind of asking him questions, and he's a little bit flustered there, but he does a good enough job, and he puts on a good league, and there's not many guys out there that are willing to do that kind of a job. So shout out to him, NTG, NTRL, all those guys.
All right, Connor. Well, again, thanks for the kind words, and good talking to you. Good luck next week.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later.
Connor Leach, your runner-up here at the Glen. Next, we're going to talk to driver of the 6, Caleb Sisk. getting better at not screwing that up now that the season's almost over. But here we have him, Caleb Sisk, up in the broadcast booth. You got us?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good, Caleb. Congratulations, man. A solid top 3 finish. We were hoping to see a battle between yourself and Alfie Charon there at the end. It was a different kind of battle, a little bit of contact out of turn 1. I think you got a little crossed up and got into him. Walk us through exactly what happened there. Was it wheel hop, putting the power down, or just outside the groove there?
Yeah, I just dipped the left sides too far over. You kind of it's off camber banking when you get super wide like that, and once I dipped the left sides over, it just started to come around. I tried to stay off of him, but I just barely got him in the left rear. I hate that for Alfie because I ran them down from 25 seconds back from starting dead last on that restart, past so many people just to throw it all the way in the last turn is what I was thinking, and then hell, I ended up grabbing him too in the left rear, so I hate that for him. I apologize to him already. He's upset. I mean, he has every right to be. It is what it is. I mean, he blocked me 4 times down the front straightaway. I knew we were going to have a fun battle through the S's. I knew I was faster. I had somebody in my ear giving me his lap times every lap. You know, when you're a second faster a lap, it's a matter of which turn, and I just wrecked myself and collected him in process. Thankfully, he still finished 4th, but it does suck to finish a good run that way.
Yeah, it was a fun one to watch either way. I mean, I would have really preferred to watch you guys battle it out because it could have been a fun one. It was the last lap, but it didn't come to fruition. Again, the top 4 of you guys, well, you finished right where you qualified, so I guess it wasn't too bad a day for any of you. Paul Durkee made it up into the top 5. He finished 1 spot from where he started, but a strong run for all you guys in the top 5 for sure.
Yeah, it was fun. Dak was kind of in a league of his own. He deserves the shout out. I mean, him and Connor were checked out from where Alfie and I were at that point before even that 15-second slowdown on the last lap. They were still so far gone, so hats off to those guys. But it was a fun ride through the field, though. I mean, that was eventful, to say the least.
100% for sure. We knew you guys, all 3 of you, certainly were going to be fast. I know I turned some laps in a practice session with you guys earlier in the week, and I was pleasantly surprised to see the lap times that you and Connor specifically were able to throw down there on a cooling racetrack at the Glen. But strong run. Good to see it out of all you guys. It's nice to see some guys starting to chip away at Zach Millett, especially on these road courses where he tends to be so strong.
Man, he is so strong. I remember I told Connor when we were in that practice session that I was just riding behind him and Hunter Parsons racing at Sonoma. He goes by Hunter, and I go by Hunter the next corner, and 2 laps later, it's like he was just a little dot in the windshield. He is incredibly good at these road courses, and he deserves all the credit, you know, regardless of our differences that we've had through the season. He is very, very good at road courses, and it shows every week that we race at them.
Well, next week we go to a completely polar opposite racetrack. That's the Super Speedway at Daytona International. We said the same thing to Connor, how some guys excel on the Super Speedways where they may not at other places. Other guys that are really good everywhere else may not necessarily perform at the Super Speedway. What's your take at Daytona? How do you feel about your chances next week?
Well, I think that if we look back at Talladega, I waited too long to go. I feel very good at plate racing as long as we don't get caught up in a wreck. I waited till 3 to go, and I should have went at 4 to go. I had a good pusher, good teammate. I was calling everything, and we just waited 1 lap too long, and we came up about 4 feet short. So hopefully we can avoid the wrecks. It's going to happen. I'm pretty sure I'll be starting in the back because of that turn 1 incident. It's totally my fault, nothing to do with Alfie, regardless of the block down the front straightaway, or you could say 1 block, 2 blocks, whatever. Multiple moves across the front straightaway. It's not his fault. It's my fault. I'll own that. But I am excited. So we'll just ride in the back for a while. Hopefully avoid the disasters that are ever looming there and go when it's time.
Going to see a lot of blocking next week. I'm sure of it. I'm looking forward to it, too. Hopefully it's not totally chaotic, but hopefully we'll see a good race out of it. Caleb, thanks for talking to us, man. Who do you want to thank before we let you get out of here?
Man, huge shout out to Skunk Works. They have been with me this whole time. Multiple leagues. We just picked up a late model championship in another league on Sunday night. We're about to start another league when this one finishes on Tuesday. We'll be a couple races behind, but we can pick the points deficit up. We're showing out, won a couple shootout races, won some money races with them, and they've been there to support the whole way. So hats off to D. Allen Grote and for wrapping the trucks, everything that he does, Twitch overlays, whatever you want, he can do it. Huge shout out to my teammates. Connor was way better than me today, drove away. Skylar Harrod for helping me once he got out of the truck, giving me lap times, letting me know where everybody was at so I could manage my pace. Alan for hanging out and racing. He had a good run going. He had a self-inflicted wound. I had a self-inflicted wound. Don't know why I sped on pit road. Just lack of focus, I guess. But, man, ton of fun. Huge shout-out to everybody. Thanks to you for the broadcast. Eric for everything that he does in the league. I know he had some problems with his buttons today and the caution, but, hey, it all worked out. Like you said, 1, 2, 3, 4 start, 1, 2, 3, 4 finish. So no harm, no foul from me. And if he's upset, he's upset. I get it. I would be too if I got wrecked on the last lap. But hopefully by the time we get ready to go next week, he's past it.
All right, Caleb. Well, thanks for talking to us, man. Certainly wish you the best of luck next week.
Hey, thank you so much. You have a great night.
Caleb Sisk, your third-place finisher here at the Glen. It's going to wrap up the interview portion of our broadcast. Let's go into our race results. We talked to our top three. Zach Millett, of course, your winner. Connor Leach, Caleb Sisk, the top three. Alfie Charon came home in fourth. Paul Durkee was fifth. PJ Cox, sixth. Joe Tucker was seventh. Justin Lawson, eighth. Mark Collins was ninth. Jeff Ottinger, a nice strong top 10 for the 76. 11th goes to Chris Klein. Jesse Sperling was 12th. Jesse Redding, 13th. Ryan Torsha, 14th. Alan Grote, 15th. Scott Milner, 16th. Ben McKinnon, 17th. Brandon Coleman finishes in the 18th position. 19th goes to Tony Polk. 20th, Derek Welch. 21st, Skylar Harrod. Russ Kilgore, 22nd. And Tom Barish did not start the race, credited with 23rd, 45 laps down. Thank you guys all for tuning in here tonight. First race back of 2024. Fitting that it comes at Watkins Glen. Be sure to tune in tomorrow and Thursday. We've got more Numb Thumbs racing action in the late model stocks tomorrow. And then Thursday, it's race number 1 in the Lone Star Racing Cup Series. Season number 3 kicking off. And Sunday, back to No Bull. And then, of course, next week, Monday, we do the late models over in the IROC Challenge Series. And then we return again here, the Davidson Builders Truck Series at Daytona International Speedway. It's going to be a busy spring here in 2024. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Check us out at hbrtv1.com. Click the live tab for that race's broadcast. I got it right this time. Hopefully I can remember to do it tomorrow and the next day and so on. Also check us out on YouTube where we do the live stream. youtube.com/@HBRTV and the number 1. If you haven't already liked the stream, please do so. Do it every race that you watch. It helps us out quite a bit, pushes the video to a wider audience. It helps us, it helps the league. It's a win-win across the board, and it's free to do. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for my stream chatters. Skunkworks Graphics Racing jumping in here and saying nice job. Always appreciate you guys being here, as well as everybody else. The Sperling family, the Vickers, Chris Goins, we had Susie Q, Crystal Villano, Matt Sisler jumping in, and others. Thank you, as always, for being here. We hope to see that continue throughout the course of the season. That's going to wrap it up for us here from the Glen. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great night.